Good morning, everybody. We're getting started today with the piano in the back and Monica Garcia-Medina in the back playing it with a song. So you're all invited to stand, to sing, to clap. I won't be on camera. So those of you that are joining us virtually, just join us and have fun. All right, here we go. I think you guys know the song. It's long. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. I wake up this morning, rise with the morning sun. I'm with the birds, perched by my doorstep, singing sweet songs. Melodies pure and true, singing, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. I wake up this morning, rise with the morning sun. Three little birds perched by my doorstep, sing sweet songs, melodies pure and true. Here it's time for spiritual living. This is our message to you. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yeah. One more time. Don't worry about a thing. Yes, stop. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yay! Thank you. That's actually getting me ready because I'm going to be at CSL Jamaica online, not in person. So I'm ready. Not in person. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening for those of you who are virtual and are watching anywhere else in the world, or later, or tomorrow, or next week. But those of you who are here in person, it's great to see your beautiful faces as we enter into spring, and it's already starting to be an energy inside of us, right? So today we are wrapping up the theme for April, which is creativity, and it fits within the theme of the year, which is living everyday wonder. And I think that we need this theme more now than ever with everything that's going on in the world. So the topic today is Come Dance With Me. And we have our beautiful Monica doing music for us. So it's fun to have some live music today. So I'm going to talk about wrapping up this idea of the theme of creativity and what we've already covered this month, and reminding you that you are a work of art, that your life is a work of art. And what we believe about that is what we experience. So we're going to dig into that a little bit deeper. And then we're going to look at this idea that it's not just in the future, or that it was something that happened in the past. It's something that is now and in every now. And how can we live that more powerfully? So those of you that are online, whether you're on Facebook Live or on YouTube, let us know you're here. Say hello. say hello to each other, use the bubbles, ask questions, make comments. We're always open to your feedback. If you are online and you'd like to support this community and its legacy and its future even after we are gone, there are ways to do that on the website. And those of you who are here, there's many different ways to do that. You could do text to give, my personal favorite, or there's a basket over there, or you can go on the website. We invite you to really think about what it means to support this community. And that it's not just about us, that it's about the future of those yet to come. And so the longer and the better we can be here for that, the more we make a difference to those who are looking for us and are hungry for spiritual community. So the next thing that I want to do is a namaste practice, which we've been doing here. Namaste is a Sanskrit word of the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So it's a giving, but it's also a receiving. That when somebody does this practice, take it in. Let it fall on the fertile soil of your own heart and let it feed you the way that you need to be fed. So just put your hands together in front of your heart and just turn to somebody and say, Namaste. 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 All right. And let's do an opening treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. And I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath, because when we take a deep breath, we become present. We become more conscious. We become more open. And so here in this openness, and at the same time, this connection to life, the connection to one another and to ourselves, feeds and fills the connection that we have with Spirit. And whether we call this God, good, Mother Nature, higher power, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, or the nothingness, it is all that and then some. It is that life force that we are so aware of right now in our northern hemisphere as we watch Mother Nature come back to life after a long winter. It is that life force that flows through us, that gives us our breath and our heartbeats. It is that life force that creates unity and multiplicity, because the multiplicity comes from the unity, and it's something that we celebrate today in remembrance that we are a work of art, that we actually are a miracle. And that how we live that artfully and miraculously is the gift that we give to the world around us. And so we ever fine-tune our consciousness to become more deeply aligned with the spirit of divine love, which is already within us. It's everywhere present. And it is for us to see more deeply and more powerfully. So for that and so much more, we are deeply grateful, and so it is.
Yes, so it is.
So I wanted to do something together today that we will do once in a while. We're going to read the Declaration of Principles together. These are the Declaration of Principles of the Science of Mind philosophy, written by Dr. Ernest Holmes. So this is the basis. Take it home with you and read it and study it, because it's not only what we teach and what we believe, but what each of us are actually embodying. Not so much embodying, because it's already within us, but we're more and more aligning ourselves with that. So let's read it together. We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in all people, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. We believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul, forever and ever expanding. We believe that heaven is within us, and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel His indwelling presence. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through the spiritual and intuitive nature of each person, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. We believe that the universal Spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded with this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thoughts and acts upon it. We believe in the healing of the sick through the power of this mind. We believe in the control of conditions through the power of this mind. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and eternal givingness of life to all. We believe in our own soul, our own spirit, and our own destiny, for we understand that the life of all is God. Yes. Right? Yes, yes, yes. So I've only been reading the principles of the Declaration of Principles for about 40 years. And when I read it, which I do often, I take it apart. I've had years where I do one phrase every month or 2 phrases a month and just really meditate on them and sit with them, because they are powerful statements and they are to be really understood and to be lived, and of course for all of us in a unique way, but also to the best of our ability, because it's not about perfection. So take it home and really sit with that. And if you have any questions, because sometimes people read it and they go, what? So just ask a practitioner or ask me. We're happy to talk to you about it. So this month, we've been exploring the topic of creativity. And I hope that the biggest thing you got out of that is that it's not about whether you're a creative person or not. It's about the fact that the creative process is in you. It's who you are. It's your essence. It's your nature. And it's here to be lived. So if you say, I'm not very creative, just think about some of the messes you've made in your life, whether it's literal or not, because it's not always about beauty, right? Just think about how you decorate your house, or how you dressed yourself this morning, or how you think, or how you feel, or how you greet people. You're constantly being on the receiving end of the creative process and living from it. So all of us are 100% creative. The thing that gets in the way is what we believe about that. It's either regenerative or it's destructive. And so we were invited to become more aware of how the creative process works in us. And then the second week, we explored this idea that whether we call it God or Spirit or the universe, sometimes works like a trickster. So we might be having an experience and we might say, how is that possible? I cannot believe I'm experiencing this. Well, what if this universal law has a sense of humor? Like I used to say, I hate Western medicine until I needed it. What? I turned this off until I needed it, and I realized that anything I resist or anything I hate, even if it's a little bit, the universe will say, yeah? Let's see what happens. And so if we can look at life in a more humorous way, in a more lighthearted way, it takes on a whole different experience than when we go, oh my God, I can't believe it's happening to me, because that creates a whole new cycle for us. And so we explore this idea of the opportunities that we're all given on a daily basis to learn, to grow, to stand in the truth of what we believe and what our values are. And then Reverend Janice, so kindly from home, she talked about the Easter story. And she looked at it through a metaphysical lens, which is what the Science of Mind teaching is. It's a metaphysical teaching. And looked at it as our story, our personal resurrection story, and how this season was so perfectly chosen by the Judeo-Christian world to say, let's celebrate because it's spring and everything is coming to life. So it invited us to say, what inside of me do I need to release is dying, and what wants to be reborn? And so today we're going to wrap it up with this idea of come dance with me, meaning it's a phrase in a poem that I'm going to come to later. But it's really about remembering that each of us are a work of art, that our lives is a work of art, and that it comes from how we individually live our connection with Spirit, with our heart of hearts, with our soul's development, our soul's life. It's about our awakening then, because we're always using the creative process. It's like the seeds that we planted at our grand opening day. The seeds will become the plant that was inherent in the seed. And so we can think of thoughts as seeds, not an individual thought, but the collectiveness of our thinking is what creates our experience. And we're always using that creative process, not just when we're meditating. No, not just when we're praying, not just when we're doing good deeds or when we're in service, but all the time. And so we're always using it, and we're not always conscious of it. You know, when I'm cursing out my boyfriend or my cat, I don't have a cat anymore, I used to have a cat, or the world, or whoever, think politics, right? When we're doing that, we're using the creative process. It doesn't say, oh, she's just kidding, or it's just now. No, we're always using that, so we get to become more aware of that. What happens a lot of the time is when we're using it unconsciously against ourselves is we're in that place of feeling like a victim. And it's being made conscious through our experience. So if we can see it as that, like, oh, just like this week I had this big aha. I was talking to a friend and I was telling her about an assumption that I made about something that hurt my feelings. And when I shared that, we ended up laughing because she said, and I thought, and so she made her assumption that wasn't there at all. And so we were living off these assumptions that weren't even true. And so we laughed about how silly we were. But thank goodness we were able to talk about that, because that's the kind of friendship we have, right? So it's very often that we even make assumptions that aren't quite true, but they're based upon our own limited way of thinking, and we get to check them out. So to me, it's about remembering that creativity is not so much about what we do and how we do it, but creativity is about who we are and who we are being in the world. And the more simple we can make that, the better, because the more complicated we make it, it's just the ego's way of shutting down or turning it off or not wanting to do the healing work that's asked of us, right? And so the invitation then is to be the light. It's the light that turns on our creativity. And so think for a moment, what lights you up? What lights you up? What makes you happy? You can shout it out. What lights you up?
Music.
Music.
Family.
Nature.
Nature. Friendship.
Jazz.
Jazz.
Cleaning.
Children. Cleaning.
Having fun.
Having fun.
Service.
Dancing.
Flowers.
Photography.
Horses.
Yes, horses. See, there's things that light us up when we feel down or in a dark place. Be that light, which becomes do that light. I don't know any of you, but a walk in nature can heal anything in my heart. So the work then is standing in the truth and noticing what gets in the way. So if I say love is all there is, and this little voice inside of me goes, yeah, in a pig's eye, just look at what happened to my childhood or in my childhood, or look at so-and-so, or look at this or this, then we can pause in that moment and say, oh, that's what's in the way. How I see that is what's in the way. Because when I experience an absence of love or prosperity or harmony or joy or relationship or doing what you love, it's not so much that it is in the way, it's that my thinking about it is in the way, and it's there because it wants to be healed. It wants to be seen in a different way, because healing is not fixing or curing. Healing is not about how do you say that? Temporal, whatever that word is. Temporary things. It's about stepping back into the truth of our own inherent wholeness. Healing is make whole. But in our teaching, we don't make anything whole. We remember our wholeness, which then dissolves what's in the way. And so right now, I don't know about you. I don't watch a lot of news, but I watch some because I feel I need to know what's going on in the world, so I know what healing work to do inside myself and what to treat for, what to pray for. It's just a mirror. The news is just a mirror of what's going on with us. And we can all say, well, it's going on with everybody else, but not with me. If we're witnessing it, it's ours. As a teacher of a friend used to say, if you spot it, you got it. So the world is just reflecting back to us what wants to be seen from a place of truth, what wants to be healed inside of us. Personally, I'm experiencing a lot of grief about what's happening in the world. Politically, environmentally, with diversity, with our beautiful earth, with structures, with systems, everything appears to be breaking down. If we look at that from a spiritual perspective, we already know that breakdown has to happen in order for something new to be birthed. That death has to happen in order for there to be new life. And so the reality in the world of form is that we are in the middle of the sixth distinction. And mass extinction. That's happening right now. We're in the sixth mass extinction. It's the first one that is happening because of us. Because of what we have done to each other and to our planet. And so I know people disagree with that, but we can all agree that there is some big shift taking place on the planet, right? And so it's very important for us to see that we can be a part of this new era by using our creativity, by using the creative process, by using the creative law in us to be of service to the new that is being birthed, that wants to be lived. So I don't know about you, but I know that if I'm worried and anxious and afraid and stressed out, that I won't have anything to contribute to this mind to give from the purity of my spirit. So I clear the way over and over and over again, and I stand back in the truth. And I believe that grief is a way to witness human suffering and to be informed what is ours to give, what is ours to do as individualized expressions of the one. Because we're here now, not at the fifth one, not at the fourth one, not at the third one, not at the second one, not at the first one. We're here during the sixth one. That means our consciousness is already evolved enough to be a part of the shift that wants to take place. So there's a turning happening, right? And how about if we approach it with, instead of anxiety, fear, worry, we approach it with curiosity? How interesting. I'm so curious. What's asked of me? What wants to be seen by me through this creative lens, through this spiritual lens, because I do believe that we are on a spiritual path for that reason. So Ken Wilber, how many of you are familiar with Ken Wilber? He developed the integral theory, and he talks about that, and it's a little bit over my head, but he uses colors and he uses stages and levels, but he talks about something that's not over my head that I really love, because he talks about this shift that is taking place to advance humanity, to advance life, to advance consciousness. And it says we have to evolve. And he talks about the 4 stages, and I think they're familiar to all of us because we've heard them through Michael Beckwith's work and with visioning, and they show up in different areas of spirituality, including, I believe, in the science of mind. And so the first stage is the stage of waking up. That's for all of us when we either came here or started on the spiritual path where we kind of went, you know, there's got to be more to this thing. It can't just be this, right? It was the moment when we became more aware and we started to take responsibility for our own lives. All of it. The second stage is the stage of growing up. And it's where we don't just take responsibility, but we begin to understand and accept what's happening, and we realize, oh, that's for me. It's for my evolution. And that awareness allowed our mind and our heart to open and to see more clearly the big picture. The third stage is cleaning up, which is what I was just talking about. It's when we heal that within us that is not in complete resonance and harmony with the truth of our being. It's that space of looking at old beliefs that no longer serve us, or limiting beliefs that we carry with us, where we look at them and say, is that really true? Is that really who I am? Is that really what I believe? Is there more? Is there something else that wants to be understood, lived, or accepted? And then the last stage is showing up. It's where we say, okay, I've learned a few things, so now I'm going to step into life, living them, practicing them, knowing that I may never do it perfectly, but I'm willing to live what I know with all of my heart and all of my mind. And so we're looking through this creative lens instead of looking through a destructive lens to birth a new era. And the good news is it isn't the first time. Many eons of humanity have birthed new eras before. So we stand on the shoulders of giants. It's just not the same. It's a new way because we have the consciousness to do it in a new way. And we're on the spiritual path, which gives us an advantage. We have no excuse. We can no longer say my identity is my trauma. My identity is my identity is my identity is my identity is my identity. My identity is my identity is my identity is my identity is my. If we're on the spiritual path, we must begin to live the identity of our essential nature, our true beingness. The Science of Mind in our organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, has as its grand vision creating a world that works for everyone. And that's what you and I are a part of. We're creating a world that works for everyone. One step at a time, in the most simple ways, because I know when my ego wants to make it difficult, it's just lazy or afraid. And so it's about being really present and checking in. Am I in this destructive mode or a creative mode? If it's the creative mode, go have fun. If it's the destructive mode, do the healing work. Reach out to somebody else. Call a practitioner, for God's sake. They're here to support you. They're here to assist you. And so I love this poem by Hafez. I'm glad Monica already posted on Facebook. And Hafez was a 14th century Sufi poet. He says, every child has known God. Not the God of names, not the God of don'ts, not the God who ever does anything weird, but the God who knows only 4 words and keeps repeating them, saying, come dance with me. Come dance. Life is a dance. So some of you know that my 2 favorite shows in the last few years were Afterlife and Derek with Ricky Gervais. I've never laughed so much on my own. And I know it's not everybody's sense of humor, but I love it. And the swearing, I love it. I love how British people swear. I won't say the words. Derek, is anybody familiar with Derek? So Derek is a character who works in a nursing home, but not quite, because you can tell he is mentally differently abled. But he has the biggest heart, and he's hilariously funny. And his favorite, and he loves old people. He loves old people. And his favorite person in a nursing home is Joan, who ends up passing away. And so he says, Joan used to say, if you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, take a walk. If you want happiness for a year, win the lottery. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help other people. He says she always chose the person who needed her more. We are really needed in the world today. Not so much to go out with banners or rocks or guns or anything else, which can be what comes from being that, being your essential nature, being love in action, being peace. Don't have to say or do anything. It can come from that place. But each of us are called to higher ground, to be the ones who birth this new era that we might not even get to see before we pass. But we know we're doing it for the next generations. So now let's have some more music with Monica. It's an original called Omnipositivity.
Yeah, I think we can do a little introduction, just real quick.
in the fall, I really got, Hachi and I really got into Daniel Schmachtenberger and Mark Hubbard is more like creating the future thing, and we came upon this word, omnipositive and omniconsiderate. And I had to write a song about it. It's in there, but in the end, I'm still playing with the title. I also see like the Sufism, that beloved, that cosmic intimacy. I'm kind of siding now with cosmic intimacy. But yeah, omnipositivity meaning making decisions from a place of taking into consideration and wanting the best for as much as you can become aware of, to the best of your ability. So that's where it goes. Lovers for life, we are so intelligent, so respectful, and so kind. Lovers for life, we share our completeness, perfect consciousness, divine. Let's celebrate, create, enjoy our life with friends, family, and grace, and clarity, omnipositivity, for all time, lovers for life. Lovers for life, no need to get angry, always such mature good vibes. We can talk through anything, always with a smile inside. Lovers for life, yeah, we like to meditate, take care of ourselves each day. Loving our surroundings, sharing light beyond time and space. Lovers for life, I don't need to think twice when I do my part every day. Switch it up. I know that you love me, and your light at least just the same. Hey, 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 hey. Let's celebrate, create, enjoy our life with friends and family and grace and gratitude. Omnipositivity,
Yes, Monica, beautiful. So I want to remind you that after celebration, Sharon is going to take photos for our website. If you don't want to be in any pictures, you can just hang out in the hallway or here on the side. But she wants to stage it, so the more of you stay, the better. So please stay, and it's just a one-time thing, right, Sharon? We're going to make it really lovely. She's really fun, too. So we have yoga on Tuesday. We're still doing it on Zoom, and it's in our weekly email. If you're not getting our weekly email, let me know. I'll make sure I'll put you on the list. It's really fun. It's with Steve Tarsitano. He turned 40 yesterday. He had his birthday. Happy birthday, Steve. And he's a great teacher. He teaches Kundalini Yoga, and anyone can do it, right, Lori? Yes, Lori and I are usually there, and Sharon's there. So I also want to tell you that starting next week, I am teaching, facilitating a workshop, a program that I created myself, and it's a prosperity program, and it's just a little bit different than what I've experienced, and there's so many out there, but this one is really fun. It's called Flourishing. So the flyer is over there for those of you that are here. I posted on Facebook, and we have Kat posting it on Meetup and on Instagram, and I think we put it on Twitter. It's everywhere. You can share it with anyone. It's just an hour and a half every Sunday in May, and it starts at noon. So grab the flyer. You need a book by Deepak Chopra called 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. Just great little simple book. And this whole idea is to really think about what makes our heart sing, what we would love, and how to release what's in the way of that. And then we're going to have Theo Tilton do a book release, signing, talk, short talk. He wrote a book called Practicing Presence, which is really fun, and so you can join us. That's happening the first Sunday in June. And I think that's all I want to tell you about. If anybody wants to purchase the Science of Mind magazine, I have them here. Oh, I think we have 4 people that want to take these planters home. These are marigolds. They need to go into the earth because they won't make it in a pot. So those of you who are gardeners, please take one. I have 1 volunteer there. I have 2 volunteers here, so there's one more. Elizabeth will take one. Okay, great. That's wonderful. Take the whole thing with you. Plant them wherever you like. All right, so take a moment. Place your hand on your heart. Close your eyes. Just for a moment, celebrate how you show up in the world. Even if your mind goes, well, not really. Be willing to believe that that is completely not true, because you're here today, you showed up here today. And each of us do show up in the world. We do extend our love. Whether it's with the earth, with each other, with ourselves, with our loved ones, with our pets. And that's because something feeds you. And so today we are aware that we as a spiritual community get to feed one another. And the reason we can do that is because we get to meet here in this space. We get to be Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. So ask yourself, how can I support this work so that it lives beyond my life? And so whether that's a donation, or prayers, or you're showing up, or you're volunteering, keep listening to your heart and keep this idea of sacred circulation in your way of being. And so let's close now with a healing prayer, a healing affirmative prayer, a healing spiritual mind treatment, our word for prayer. As we claim today this awareness that there is a creative life force in us, ours to use. It's an infinite process, and we can compare it in a very finite way by the availability of electricity and how we use it. Today we remember to use it wisely, consciously, powerfully, as a force for good. We use this force for good as well to heal whatever is in the way. We open our mind and our heart, and we trust that we are an ever-evolving being. And that the more we live in harmony with our essential nature of spirit, the more this shows up in our body, our mind, our heart, our soul, our lives, our work, our friendships, our relationships. And so there's much to be grateful for and much to bless. And there's always room for the more. And we approach this from a place of curiosity and humor and simplicity and light, with a freedom to ever say yes to life. And so today we claim this process as the greatest gift and blessing in our lives, with a place of forgiveness for where we have judged ourselves or others for not doing it right or good enough. The place of remembrance that evolution means that, evolution. And so with awe and gratitude, we turn this word over to the universal law. It knows exactly how to demonstrate it in the highest and best ways for each of us. And today we trust that in a bigger way. And so it is.
So it is.